Prepare to be amazed as two men, legally classified as vintage, compete to recall pop culture nonsense from a time when parents smoked in grocery stores and Ronald McDonald roamed free, judged and scored by artificial intelligence. Chris and Jeff sift through the glorious wreckage of a gleefully neglected childhood, hoping to find meaning. Nice pull, because if we don't remember this crap, you know damn well someone's gonna try and reboot it and make it way worse. Chris, I don't even care that it's episode 73. I don't care. I'm happy that we're making it to episode 80. I'm going to be excited when we get to episode 80 because, hey, we did it. We made it to 80. Again, whatever that means. But I am freaking out right now because, as God is my witness, you and I just did a Halloween episode. Does it not? And does it not feel like, I don't know, like 6 months ago or something, or 4 or 5 months ago, we were talking about Halloween costumes? Am I wrong?
It does. And Ben Cooper and the traditions and the sweaty masks and the costumes in a box. And maybe it's that Ministry. So it reminds me, what was it? Ministry, every day is Halloween. Maybe that's why, Jeff. Every day we can talk
there you go.
Oh,
that is a nice. Wow, I haven't thought of that in a long time. I'm going to have to play that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about that song.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's right. And we talked about all that stuff, right? The shitty costumes where if it was Darth Vader, they had a picture of Darth Vader on your chest, right? And it was just so stupid. Again, if you want to look back, it's the Ben Cooper, Halloween costume manufacturer back in the 70s. We did all that. And then, of course, our shared stories, right, Chris, of that little thin area that they would cut out for the mouth. Really just as a suggestion. It was so tiny, the most you could do is maybe get your tongue in there as a joke, and you'd see a little bit of your tongue sticking through. And then what would happen next? Slice in the tongue, and now your tongue is ruined for the rest of the evening. Don't even think about now doing a sweet tart on that tongue.
And it would get all soft, because from your sweat, the upper lip part.
Yeah.
And then the worst part, when you have industrial-sized nostrils like I had, even as a child, those little openings, for that mask didn't quite cut it. So no matter what your costume was, you probably had a for me anyway, I had a Darth Vader, Michael Myers thing kind of going on with but that was just me trying to breathe for real. There was no apparatus or anything that, but yeah, good times with Halloween just around the corner. Again, it just every day's Halloween, right?
It's just shocking that we're here again. And I know we already talked about this as well, Chris. When I first moved into this little neighborhood here, we would have 200, 300 kids come by. But it's kind of nice, on Halloween, we still get like 50 or so kids that come by. And I guess my point in all of this is, no, we don't really have the neighborhood where there's hijinks, right? Kids like you and I egging cars and getting into fist fights with other rogue groups of Halloweeners and stealing each other's candy. Or was that just me, Chris? Were you a nice kid on Halloween? Maybe it's just me. Is that sorry?
Well, yeah. I think we have episodic proof of throwing things and getting into fights. For you anyway, was just any random day of the week, 12 months out of the year. I think I never had the guts for the hijinks. I think I was a little bit too afraid for the hijinks, but I appreciated the hijinks. Let's just say that.
But Chris, you did travel with kids that I would say rank in the cool area. You were in the cool zone with your friends. And those friends, who I won't mention specifically, were definitely prone to that.
They were.
So you might have gotten pulled in a few times.
Anyway,
right?
I was cool adjacent, as I am adjacent to everything else. So I don't know. But like I said, I was there in spirit. Well, so
in the last episode, we went back and thought, hey, what are some things that we hated back in the day and we like now or can appreciate? And then the vice versa. What are some of the things that, whatever the vice versa is of that, right? What is the vice versa of that? I always get so confused.
The things that we hate, well, the things that we hated and now appreciate, the things that we appreciated and now hate, right? So I think that's
As
where
I
it
get
comes from.
older, I don't seem to have Alzheimer's yet, but I do have the inability to reverse a concept. I've noticed that
Mhm.
reversing a concept is hard. This,
Yes.
and then whatever the opposite of that is what I normally say. I don't know what's going on in my brain.
I've I
Um,
I've been told that I
yeah,
don't finish my thoughts. So, as I just did it right there. So we're getting there, Jeff. We are getting there.
okay. Well, maybe episode 80 is a long shot. Maybe that's not gonna happen. But Chris, lead us in. Do you have anything you can think of when it comes to your memories of Halloween or this time of year, that maybe have changed or become different now that you're you in the year 2025?
Well, I think really, to me, it's the imagery and the traditions and the costumes, right? And we've talked about, and again, we've hit on all these things on the show, and the films that scared us, whether it was Halloween or Alien or Nightmare on Elm Street or my way too young exposure to The Exorcist. Okay, um,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
but yeah, so to me, it was always about like kind of fear, right, and the stuff that scared you, right, the boo, the jumping out, all that kind of thing. But I had the other day, I'm driving my daughter to school, and we're having one of those short and obviously you're past your driving, your kids to school days, but she turns 13 in a week, and we kind of in that grand tradition, you try and cram. It's about if we hit the lights, it's an 11-minute ride. If not, it's about 20. But just many conversation topics that within that time span, and out of nowhere, we go from talking about the song that we just heard to she hits me with a "Are you afraid of dying?" And it's like, okay, and now at this point, this is the tail end. Okay, picture now, there's maybe a quarter mile left on the ride to school, even though I gotta go now way through the park. It's like, that's a pretty serious, heady question, right? For to try to fit in that last
Well,
quarter mile before drop off.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and then there's really like sort of again, my brain's kind of spinning at that point, going, and there's really only like to me, it's like there's 3 possible answers, right? It's like there's the truthful one, there's the jokey one, or there's the what does she wanna hear/ slash slightly dishonest one, right?
Mhm,
And again, at this point, now I got less than a quarter mile to kind of decipher because she wants to know this. And
mhm,
and it's pretty clear though that the jokey one's not gonna work. And then the dishonest one is just like, that whole, what does she wanna hear? And it's like, and I don't know if but anyway, it's like, "Are you afraid of dying?" And so I kinda it's like, "Am I afraid of dying?" No, and I don't know how believable I was in that, but it did make me think of, I'm not afraid of dying, although I kinda clarified it with, I don't wanna die anytime I'm afraid of dying too soon, or I'm afraid of dying accidentally.
if you said it to her the way that you just said it to me, it sounds, again, like an Australian, inflection on there. "No," as if it's a question, right?
Uh-huh.
"Do you wanna go to the theater?" Or, "Are you afraid of death?" "No."
Like,
Right? And
mhm,
it's this upward inflection.
uh-huh.
So what is the real story? Are you telling me that you are resolved right now, that if you found out that you're gonna die, well, you know what? There's 2 different things, right? I think there's one thing, which would be, as it stands right now, I'm not afraid of death. However, is it different if somebody says, "You are going to die in the next, whatever, 30 minutes or the next 2 months?" That might be a different take on it, right? Because now you gotta think about it, and it is gonna happen for sure. That could be a twist, right?
I think so, and also because, and hey, let's face it, this podcast was born based on us having a few years on this earth and all the things that right that we've experienced and talked about and joke about. And
Mhm,
this is not, this is, it's the whole basis for, well, we're the Gen X guys, and we're in our late 50s and we're pushing forward, and we look back. It's a serious question that, and again, this is not a great revelation that you or I, there was a point in time, yeah, when we were 13, did we think about that? Not really, just for those crappy weird shows or after school specials or something or very special episodes where somebody died. But, you know, um, do I think about it? I think about it more than I used to. Um, you and I, and we haven't really discussed, we've both had health, uh, issues or challenges that were
Yeah,
unexpected
sure.
where, I had
Yeah.
one 18 months ago where I very clearly, yeah, could have not ended well. And so
Mhm,
I think more about dying since then? Absolutely, 100%.
mhm.
But am I afraid of it? How can you, I don't know, how can you not be afraid of it? And the guy who says, I'm not afraid of dying, I think is full of shit. Right? It's like, why would you not be afraid of dying? Because when you've got, wouldn't you, isn't living the better alternative? Especially now, maybe the person who's not afraid of dying thinks that there's, or has beliefs in an afterlife, and hey, we're just getting warmed up, and it's even better once you die, versus once you die, man, that's it. All you are is dust in the wind.
And hopefully you don't have to hear that song for eternity. God, could you imagine? What if it's purgatory and I just gotta hear, "Close your eyes, la da 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 da." Okay,
So I guess
that would
yes,
suck.
that would definitely be hell. But am I afraid of, I guess long-winded answer, am I afraid of dying? I gue yes, but again, I'm afraid of dying and not getting to see my kids grow up. I'm afraid of dying and not being around for, with my family. I'm afraid of dying and all the things not knowing what comes after that, the finality of it.
100%. And Chris, today happens to be a day where as soon as we're done with this podcast, I'm gonna be driving down to, San Diego area and going to a steakhouse and celebrating my grandmother's 104th birthday party. Yeah, and we have done this at this particular steakhouse 5 years in a row, and she is no different than the rest of us. We're all looking at each other going, "What the fuck?"
Uh-huh.
She's like, "I don't even know. I'm not doing anything different. I don't even know what's going on." And yeah, she exercises a little bit and gets up and gets around, but is she doing anything special to keep herself alive? No. No, she likes sweets, she eats cheesecake, she likes steak, right? I think the only thing she doesn't do is smoke cigarettes and doesn't really care for alcohol. I'm sure that's helped her, right? But beyond that, my Uncle Vic lived to be like 98 years old, and that mother effer, I don't think he ever tasted a vegetable. I don't even know if he knows what they were, right? And he had a beer belly his entire life. As far as I know, he was born with a giant belly. I never saw him in shape. I know he never exercised, right?
Okay.
So who knows? Sorry, we kind of got off the Halloween
Right.
topic.
Well,
I'll edit that down, Chris. Don't you
okay.
worry.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get back to Halloween
Well, I mean,
here.
so again, so getting back to that, yeah. So wrapping, am I afraid of? What about you? It's like before I even delve into the rest of your fears, do y are you afraid of dying, Jeff? I mean, let's dig deep on this. Make this a very special episode.
All of us are afraid of a certain type of death, right? So if you were to tell me, Jeff, you're going to be buried alive, oh, hell yeah. I don't want that. That's terrible. Terrible. No, I don't want that. I would be very afraid of that. But am I afraid of death? As it stands right now, no. And I can say that with confidence. I'm not afraid of what happens next. And part of it is I've even come to peace with Jeff, you don't even know what happens next. It could be really bad. I don't know what happens after this. But yeah, it's nothing you can control. And right now, I do feel like, hey, man, if someone were to tell me in 4 months, you're going to die, and it's not like being buried alive or something
Uh-huh.
horrible, I would
Right.
be like, okay,
Right, as a kid, you never thought of, like, the stuff that actually can happen, like a serious illness or a really bad accident or, something like that, a fire. You think of all these sort of spectacular, really, TV movie sort of things will scare you.
yeah. And the great thing about being a kid in general, and especially back then, is you're right. You never thought for 1 second, "I will die." It didn't even come across your radar. In your mind, life is infinite, and you never have to plan for tomorrow when you're a kid, right? And everything is just, "Yeah, I've got a trillion days left. I may as well be immortal." And then the brief moments when you think about your mortality, right? Because you saw the movie The Omen or Exorcist or something, or Carrie, where they're all dying, you go, "Oh my God." And that only lasts for as long as that movie lasts, maybe a couple nightmares, and then you're right back into I'm invincible. You and I talked on the previous Halloween episode, and we've talked about this a few times, the movies that really affected us. You already listed a few. And the whole style of 1970s horror films, right? Which was, by today's standards, you could say that's low budget. The pacing is a little bit slow.
Mhm.
That kind of thing.
The
But
music.
there's no denying that the music and just the whole aura and tone of a lot of these 70s horror films, there's just no way to replicate it today. They were truly disturbing and scary the way that they were shot. And it's a whole genre. I don't even know if it's easy to replicate, but again, I go back to The Omen and movies like that where you're like, damn, this is legitimately haunting.
Mhm.
Those are the types of things that really scared the crap out of me. Definitely. And again, I do believe I mentioned this before, but at the top of my list on scary movies back in those days was Phantasm.
Mhm.
And super low budget, you guys. I mean, that movie could not have cost more than $20,000 to make, but holy shit. And one of the first movies where the good guy, the protagonist, the ending is a little bit like, "Oh, shit," and
Mhm.
I'm not gonna ruin it,
Mhm.
because somebody may wanna go see it for the first time.
Mhm.
Is it campy? Yeah. Is it a
Mhm.
popcorn movie? Yeah, but man, does it have that '70s feeling where you feel like people really are dying, and it's a weird, really weird, graphic, crazy premise. So that's at the top of my list, again, in
Mhm.
terms of scary movies. Beyond The Exorcist, is there any other odd movie that caught you off guard, Chris, that you were surprised that you were so afraid of?
Well, I think and looking back now, it's because it became such a machine, but I think when again, seeing the original Halloween, when I finally saw it when I was about 13, and I think it was about I think we might have seen it on cable television or something like that. And if you recall correctly, Michael Myers now, who's become almost like a punchline in all these movies and everything else, but you'd never seen these movies where he was this relentless like killer just keep coming back and changed it at the end where he got away, right? They shoot him. They say, Jamie Lee Curtis says, "Was that the boogeyman?" And Donald Pleasance goes, "Yes, yes, it was." Then they pan to the outside the window and they look down on the ground and he's gone, right? He was shot, falls out of a window and he's gone. Then the music starts up. They pan and they go back to his house. Title cards comes up and that's it. And for me, that was like a oh shit moment. I would have been fine had he, had he been died stuffed in a body bag or whatever, right? The fact that he lived, I think it freaked everybody out. It did 2 things. Number 1, it set a precedent, and which became almost cliched, right? That's what you had to do because that way you could have sequels. Everybody gets away. They always got away. Jason got away. Freddy Krueger got away. Every single, whoever else of these, these monsters, the boogeyman, they all get away at the end because that way it
I
just
will say though,
sustained the story.
Chris, that Freddy Krueger did not get away the first time.
He did not get away the first time.
The first time he was burned alive because
True.
he was the town pedophile,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so, and by the way, that is a really dark premise, even
Mhm.
for back then. Like he
Mhm.
was hunted down by the townspeople
Uh-huh.
because he was doing horrible things to children, or that was the implication, right? Am I wrong? Yeah, it's like, wow, that's a pretty dark premise, man.
They
Yeah,
burned him because he was like the custodian, and they burned him at the school and trapped him, and he died, and
right.
not only is that a really awful premise, I think years later, seeing kids showing up at your door dressed as Freddy Krueger going, "Wait a minute,
Did you not get the did you
yeah,
not get the point? Like
you're
it's yeah,
yes, you're a
it's so
vengeful
meta. Yeah, it
you're
is.
a vengeful pedophile, which
Yeah.
laws aside, you know, it's like we've cheered a lot of vigilantes in other movies, whether it was Batman or Dirty Harry or whoever. It's like this. I can kind of. I think I'm siding with the parents here, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
these childhood fears, have they been replaced? Again, a little bit. We've talked about what about now? Is there any one thing? Again, if you're not afraid to die, what are you afraid of? If you're not afraid to die, that means you're afraid of nothing? Or is there something else? Because I don't think that's the same thing, you know, because I could think of a couple other things that would be like living death, right? Like for
Mhm,
some reason I have, and I hate to be unfeeling, but I think there were times, and this has nothing to do with personal finances or experience. I just dislike fear. Every time I see a homeless person, it's just like there's a
mhm,
story there. And because I have to make everything about me, you know, uh, how can that not be me, right? I think that's something that I've always sort of in the back of my mind. Again, not that it's imminent or even I think remotely possible, because I think there has to be a lot of factors for someone to be homeless or unhoused, as I think some people call them. But do you have any other? And some people, and when I told people like that, I said, "What are you nuts?" But do you have a fear that's like again that a Jeff, you know, 2025 fear that you didn't have in Jeff 1984 fear?
I
Um,
only have one main remaining scary fear that I
uh,
would call a, visceral reaction that I can't control if I think about it, and that is, I don't know why, being in, or excuse me, underwater. Mostly this fear comes from the ocean, which I love, by the way. Ask anyone. I love the ocean. I wanna go body surfing. I wanna be in it all day long. I love it. I don't mind being in a boat on the ocean. I can be in open water and dive in and get
uh-huh.
out. Again, I mentioned this before, guys. I can't do it at nighttime. If I'm in the mother effing ocean
Uh-huh.
or in a lake, God forbid a lake, a murky lake, at nighttime,
Mhm.
no. That would be the worst for me, right? And then you're shining a flashlight and all of a sudden, that's the fear, is that there's
Mhm.
something in there. And then Chris, I learned that I have a very strange phobia of seeing large artificial objects underwater. Figure that out. So let me give you an example.
Yeah.
If I was in the ocean, scuba diving, and
Mhm.
I looked down, and maybe there's just a giant statue that was left there from the Greek and Roman times,
That
and
would
it's
be really
looking up
cool.
at you.
Yeah. Mhm.
It it is, objectively, it's really cool, but my brain doesn't like that. I don't like seeing large artificial structures, even though they're not real or alive,
Mhm.
underwater. Figure that out. And it's a thing, like, you can look it up, and it's an actual phobia. So
Mhm.
bizarre. Why? Can I never investigate a, Spanish galleon or, Flight 19 that disappeared over the Bermuda Triangle? Probably not. I'm gonna have to let someone else do that, Chris.
Do you scuba dive?
No, I like to say that. I snorkel.
You snorkel.
I can hold my breath. I have learned to do it. I took the lesson or whatever, and
Okay.
then for whatever reason, never actually did it. I don't have any fear of scuba diving. I
Mhm. See,
think it
I
sounds
do.
great.
See, I do.
I like snorkeling. Yeah.
Okay, well, snorkel. Here's my fear of scuba diving, and or even my fear of learning, like flying a plane, not flying in a plane, flying a plane, right? Because that's I think a very cool. Oh, I learned how to fly a plane, or taking flying lessons, or I'm, you know, getting my pilot's license. I don't want a hobby where if I screw something up, if I forget a small detail, if I do something wrong, I'm going to die. That's a fear, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I my regulator is wrong and now I can't breathe and
Mhm.
I'm 60 feet under the water and I'm gonna get the bends and my head is gonna explode. Or
An airplane's even better, Chris, because then you're taking loved ones with you,
right, if I'm
right?
JFK
No pressure
Jr.,
there.
right, where
Yeah.
I couldn't read instruments and I'm flying when I shouldn't be flying, and I end up flying upside down into the ocean and killing myself and my wife and her sister. You know, it's like,
Or RFK, where you're sharing prescription medicine with your friends, and
okay,
you don't even know what medicine even is. and everyone's having fun and then they all die?
Okay, okay,
It's
now we're
all
really veer enough. Right, right,
oh, no, okay,
right,
sorry,
right.
no.
But you know what I
We don't
mean?
do that on the
It's
show,
like
yeah.
I don't want. I guess maybe my fear is a hobby that could kill me. Right, and you see all
Yeah,
these people who do this crazy shit, and there's too many details. I'm not gonna die
mhm,
playing pickleball, I'm not gonna die playing golf, I'm not gonna die strumming the guitar. I mean, from that actual I could die theoretically, but not from the
yeah,
actual thing that I'm doing. But I'm afraid of making a mistake. It's almost like the same thing, you ever get like, you're sitting in traffic, it's like, "Oh, great there's an accident and 2 lanes are closed and we're going to be sitting here for our 22-minute drive is going to take us an hour and a half because it's a mess, right? And ultimately, why are you sitting in that accident on the freeway, dead stop, traffic not moving, ambulances and lanes closed and fire trucks and everything else? Because somebody did something stupid, right?
mhm,
I mean, somebody made a bad decision. Maybe another person
mhm.
compounded it. Somebody just again, did something flat out stupid, made a big mistake, and now tens of thousands of people are sitting there going, like, yes, you hope nobody got hurt, but at the same time going, this is all, it's an accident. I guess that's what an accident
Yeah,
is. But I just sure as hell, and maybe, yeah, sometimes things happen badly because somebody made a really, really bad decision. And
yeah,
I guess I'm afraid of
uh,
bad decisions. Maybe that's it, Jeff. I am afraid of bad decisions.
okay. Well, why don't you tell that to your daughter and also tell her to thank me for going through that entire therapy session so she didn't have to, so she can finally get a straight answer from you without having to listen to all this nonsense. What am I afraid of? Young lady, bad decisions. And then she's gonna think, "Is he talking about me?" Right? She's gonna be like,
Perfect,
what
perfect.
what is he what is he talking about?"
We have
By the
solved
way, Chris
we have solved parenting, Jeff. Thank you.
yeah, that's right. There you go.
What an
Yeah,
episode.
that's it.
What an
By the
episode.
way, I know how I know that I'm a bad person, and here's how, one of the many ways. When we finally get to whatever accident happened, and to your point, Chris, maybe it's an hour, 45 minutes, you finally creep up to the place where they're now clearing the scene, and you can
Uh-huh.
still see some shit on the,
Mhm.
bumper over here, and they're
Right.
towing the thing away.
Uh-huh.
My wife is basically the living embodiment of Snow White, just truly a sweet person that wants good things to happen to other people
Uh-huh.
and lives and breathes empathy. And so she'll always say the same thing. "Oh, no. I hope everyone's okay. Oh my goodness." And all I'm thinking is, if there was some way for me to get out of my car and just go, right? Just scream at the top of my
As
lungs, both birds blazing. And I know it's not their, but in my
well, it
mind,
is.
it's
It's
always like,
somebody's fault. I'm sorry, it's
yeah.
somebody's fault. I
And
don't
and
need to be
maybe
crass, but
yeah. And look, I get it. Somebody might have died, but in my mind, it's always some kid, right, that just cut someone off because they forgot it's not a video game, right?
uh-huh, uh-huh.
And they're an idiot, and now I hate them. And I wish I could channel that level of empathy. Oh, goodness. Goodness, I hope they're okay.
Maybe
God bless those people. Yeah.
maybe we ought to add quotes to the backs of these mugs that would say, "I get it. Somebody might have died." And as you're sitting there driving your wife and her best Snow White, and she's got little songbirds like floating over her, like pulling up her clothes, going, "Hoo, hoo, hoo," and it's like, oh, I hope everybody's okay. But no, I'm with you. The only people I get more mad at than the people who cause those accidents, let's say, um, are when those accidents are on the other side of the freeway
Mm.
and you're behind somebody and the
Mhm.
traffic is not moving. Why? Why is the traffic not moving?
'Cause they're looking at it, Chris. They have to look.
Have you
That's right.
never seen a fire truck, you dumb?
Chris, look at their look at their vehicles and ask yourself if they even have streaming services at home. No, Chris. They can't afford Hulu. They can't afford Netflix. They don't have Amazon Prime. They're still listening to the news on cable. This is big entertainment for them, Chris. They don't have anything else. Do you think that guy in that pickup truck, right, is somebody who can afford the luxury
I
of streaming services and unlimited entertainment? No, Chris, he's got to get it where he can get it.
I think you're painting with way too broad a brush there, Jeff, but
Well,
anyway.
we've definitely made that very clear. Well, Chris, hey,
Mm, mm,
one thing I wanted to do
yeah.
was actually get into the vein of what Nice Pull is all about, which is ridiculous trivia that most people wouldn't even want to hear.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I learned about Halloween, and get this, it's probably something you've never, sorry. All right.
What?
Let's take a quick moment here.
What?
I'm getting, I'm getting blown up by our manager, Larry Lupree. He says a lot of news for us, updates, and it can't wait.
Uh-huh.
Chris, have you ever known it to be able to wait with Larry? It always seems like it's urgent. It has to be now. Have you noticed that? It's never like it can wait.
No, it can never no, it can't d by all means. By all means. I know this is really, really earth-shattering and important, and we better get on it right now. Right now, Jeff. Come on, hurry up, Jeff. Come on. We can't keep Larry waiting.
Okay, all right.
Jesus.
I'm opening up the cupboard door. There he is. All right,
Mm.
Larry. You said it was important. You said it was
Oh,
urgent. Hit us, man. What's going
Yeah,
on? What's
yeah.
it's Halloween. We're doing our Halloween
oh,
episode in case you're wondering, and what you're interrupting right now
Mm,
is us
uh,
recording that.
oh,
But yeah,
did I ever tell you about my mentor, Buzzy Blanc? He was a well-known casting director in the 1960s. He was a producer too. You know, he produced and cast TV shows like Car 54, Where Are You, McHale's Navy, My Mother, The Car, which ruined Jerry Van Dyke's career for like
it
40
did.
years till that
That's
show
right.
Buzzy told me when I was a young man in the 70s, he had pitched a show, a Halloween special to Sid and Marty Croft, who at the time were, starting to have some success with their children's shows and their variety shows. And he also pitched it to Lucille Ball. She loved it. And so Desi Lou Productions was on board. Anywho, Buzzy said, I have an idea for a Halloween special. I recently discovered some very talented kids, actually a family of singers and musicians. Buzzy was at a party at Brian Wilson's house of the Beach Boys, and the family
Hmm.
there were
nice pull.
performing. And Buzzy says to the patriarch of the family, his name was Chuck, he said, Does your group have a name? And Chuck said, Yeah, we're the Manson
Oh,
Family Singers.
Jesus.
And Buzzy said, Oh, wow, well, you're all delightful. And, but then those crazy kids, he pitched it to them. They were ready to go. And then those crazy kids went on that killing spree and they killed the entire idea, pun intended. So that was a shame. That was a loss for Buzzy Blanc. So he wanted to introduce them on the TV show My Three Sons, but Fred McMurray, he got pissed. He said, No way am I allowing a bunch of stinking, rotten, smelly hippies on my TV show. And they live on a ranch, but they're not even cowboys. So that didn't happen either.
I didn't know there was a dark side to Fred McMurray. That's really the big takeaway right there. Okay.
I got stories about the dungeon he ran at his house. Oh,
Wow.
I think that is a great place to stop, Larry. I think rather than besmirch the memory of Fred McMurray, of Steve Douglas, okay? Do you have anything else for you, Larry? I mean, do you have you been working at all, Larry?
okay, I'll get to some promotional
Thank
ideas.
you.
We'll talk business now. I gotta take a little drink of the nice pull merchandise. Come on, people, buy some merch. Mm,
You can get
all
that on
right.
the website, everybody, if
Right.
you want. Just letting you know. All right.
Larry's
Hey,
jonesing for that 30 per mug, but okay.
Right.
that's right. I get a buck 30 every time a mug is sold, and an angel gets its wings too. So here we go, guys. Here's some promotional ideas to promote Nice Pull Podcast. Now, Jeff, Chris, I get you featured at the Knott's Scary Farm Halloween Haunt. What we do is we promote you there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
All
already going
right.
on. It's already going on. So yeah, we got to get going on this.
All
So tell
right.
me more. Tell me more.
Well, what are you talking like a booth or something? Or like we're gonna have our own area, maybe like a live broadcast? Yeah,
We're
what's gonna
branding,
happen?
some
Yeah,
branding, our logo.
well, yeah, it's sorta actually gonna be more, part of the entertainment, okay? You're gonna be, part of the Scary Farm Halloween haunt. You'll be dressed up like, Halloween characters and riding on the haunted hayride.
How are
Yeah.
What?
wait, I'm in a costume, like,
Yeah.
can you
Oh,
see who I am, or what's going on?
yeah,
I
well,
don't.
if you want him to see your mug, that's fine, but you could be Dracula or Frankenstein or the
Wait,
mummy,
wait,
I
wait.
don't
So
know.
how
We're like employees? We're like characters working there?
Yeah, yeah, it'd be now granted, you'd be working for Knott's Berry Farm, it'd be probably minimum wage, but it'd be a good promo for
What?
the show.
wait,
What?
did you
Yeah.
just go online
Yeah.
and apply as a character for Not Scary Farm? Is that what this is?
I talked to them and I gave them your name, so and your social security number, so you're ready to
Oh,
go.
nice. By the way, how the
Yeah,
fuck do you have our Social Security numbers?
Wait.
Chris,
That,
did you give him our Social Security number?
no,
Jesus.
minimum
well,
wage? Minimum wage. I guess minus, does that include your 10%, Larry? Or is that before your 10%? So it's not even minimum wage, Larry.
I'll be taking my cut out of that. Yeah, of course,
How do people know that it's us? I don't understand how it promotes the show.
Well, we'll buy all these plastic footballs from the toy store, and obviously you'll have to, you'll pull up the money for that. You'll buy these little toy footballs, and we'll have the logo plastered on the footballs. We'll custom make them, and you toss a bunch of these out to the audience when you're riding in the hayride, and you just toss them to the kids and the families. Yeah, it'll be great fun, and it'll have your logo. There you go.
Yeah, that's a great tie-in because we talk so much football on this show. I think, and then people are going to be drawn to, oh, nice poll, and thanks for the football, and I'm going to go, Larry. It's going on right now. So you're talking in terms of like, let's, Jeff, I'll meet you in Buena Park tonight, and we can get going on this.
I'm still trying to figure out the football tie-in. I don't think we've spoken about sports more than twice. Like, why would I could see like a Magic 8 ball that has our names on it or something nostalgic maybe, but a football?
How about this? The nice pull carnival booth, which will be making 4 stops in the greater Bakersfield area, including at the parking lot of an abandoned Circuit City. Plenty of room to promote. Now, keep this between the three of us. The booth comprises of an unwinnable game where carnival goers pay to pull on a rope attached to the bumper of a parked truck. I mean, come on, people love pulling on ropes. What can I say? Huh?
Wait. What? They're pulling on a rope? They pay us money and they pull on a rope. Why? What?
Larry, so far, you have pitched us to be characters at Not Scary Farm, or go to Bakersfield and be carnies. That's what you're pitching us.
Yeah, people love carnies, and
No,
it's in
no,
an
people
empty
don't love
park.
carnies. That's something we probably could have
Oh,
talked about in things that scare us.
I guess it's been a while since I represented any of the carny community, so didn't know they became so unpopular. They're all, I mean, I know they're a little seedy and sort of gnarly, but I don't know. Okay, those are a couple things I'm working on. If you're interested, give me a holler.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pick up the rotary phone and give me a. There you go. Yeah, you to pick up the phone. Or oh, hey, one final thing. What I was also thinking, one final promo thing. Just forgot about this. You're businessmen. Maybe you could go in on it with some investors, and you could create the nice pool comedy club. That logo would look good on the front of a building. We could get some real big headliners like Emo Phillips and Tony Clifton, and some others like big names like Mark Fernandez, Lamont Ferguson, Karen Rontowski, Melissa Greenberg, Dean Lacrone, and legendary Eric Schwant, known in the industry as the Schwant. Anyway, nice pool comedy club. That's something to think about down the road. All right.
Now, that is the first idea you've had that I legitimately like. That would be that would be awesome, and if I could have those comics on there, yeah, that would be pretty amazing.
Rudy Patootie. I like hearing that positivity from you, Jeff. I, I, yeah. I mean, that's something down the road to think about. Investors and yeah, but you got to hire bouncers and okay, bartenders.
Congrats, Larry,
Yeah.
on being that blind squirrel that found that acorn. That might help. So
Sorry, Larry, the, liquor cabinet is closing. I can't control that. It's automatically closing. It just does that.
bye,
Sorry. Bye.
Larry. Bye,
Bye,
Larry.
Larry.
Bye. Bye,
Goodbye.
Larry.
We'll call you back on that.
Bye,
All
Larry.
right.
Oh my god.
All right, I'm a little exhausted, a little exasperated. I don't know, whatever words you want to use. I don't know.
That's gonna be, interesting,
Yeah.
what we're gonna be allowed to keep in this episode and what I'm definitely gonna have to remove, and maybe someday, in a future version of society, we can play some of the, stuff
Someday.
that we had to delete, but I will say this, he is a man full of ideas, and
Oh
whatever
yeah.
that thing is, Chris, in your head that says, "Maybe I shouldn't," does not exist in Larry's brain. So before we wrap things up,
Uh-huh.
I did wanna go back to the roots of the show, which is trivia or something that normally you wouldn't know that maybe you remember, but something that's very rabbit hole-ish.
Mhm.
And in this case, I have some Halloween trivia when it comes to ghosts. Are you ready for it, Chris? Can you get your mind in this mood? No more Larry. Just get in the zone. Here it
Oh, wait,
comes.
wait, 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 wait. Before
Go
I
ahead.
just have to say one thing.
Mhm.
Ooh. All right, go ahead. I'll
Nice.
do it again. Ooh. Right.
There you go. There you go. And for those of you that don't know what that is, you're gonna have to go back to previous episodes. How's that?
Yeah.
So, the idea of ghosts, which are the mainstay of Halloween, right? Ghosts and ooh and boo and all those things. I learned that up until the late 1700s, ghosts were never depicted as transparent. Let that sink in. Ghosts were never depicted as transparent, see-through apparitions that floated above the ground. What?
Okay.
Yeah. So, up until that time, there
Yes.
were plenty of mentions of ghosts and ghost stories in literature and poems, as you know. But a ghost back then was, for all intents and purposes, looked just like a person, right? They were not translucent. If you saw them, you would think it was a regular person, but they could disappear and reappear. Maybe they could go through a wall or make fantastic things happen, almost like a wizard or something. But again, they weren't your typical see through floaty apparition like you would see in Ghostbusters or some movie like that. Why did they ever become that way in our modern world, right? Because back in the late 1800s, like 1797 up until like the early 1800s, they started taking these lanterns, which basically just used candlelight or kerosene or whatever, and painted images of scary things like a ghost or a skeleton or a witch. And they would light them up and they would shine them on screens or fabric or the wall. And they would have these shows called phantasmagoria. And you would pay money to go into a mausoleum or some giant old haunted building, just like P.T. Barnum, and they would project, again, with just a lantern basically, onto the wall, and sometimes they would move them so it looked like they were getting bigger or smaller. They would have a hidden assistant to make noises, almost like a fake seance, and people loved it. And because this is projected light, these apparitions were transparent, right? Shining on a curtain and things like that, and floating in the air. But isn't that weird to think that up until then, it wasn't in our conscious minds to think of ghosts in that way? So bizarre.
It does make sense, and I will say this, that's a hell of a lot scarier than a sheet than freaking Casper, I don't care, you know what I mean? It's like that a person that just kinda, like, pops in and out because I think those are all and you actually have seen those in popular culture when it's just like, "No, so and so's dead," but then they're standing in the hallway and then they're gone, or The Shining, like the sister, you right? That's scary. Now you gave me something to be afraid of as an adult because that's actually truly scary, and maybe I'm glad that they got away and started doing the other goofy stuff because holy crap, that that would have scared the hell out of me. It scares me now. So thank you for that, Jeff. Thank you for that bit of history. Thank you so much.
And I never even thought of that way. Now you're getting me scared thinking about how scared you are, and I should be scared because you're right. It's one thing to see a floating apparition in your house. It's another thing to just think it's a person, but it's not. It's a dead person. They look just like a real person. You're like, "Oh my god." And then all of a sudden they just disappear. You'd be like, "Holy shit."
Where'd
You're
they
right. That's way
where'd they
scarier.
go? Are they
Yeah.
watching me?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
they are they yes, way
And if they
scarier.
look solid, it's way more formidable because they look like they might just walk up to you and kill you or do something if they
Yeah,
look
you
solid.
think?
Oh my god, I never even
Jesus.
thought about that.
Thanks,
You're
Jeff.
right, that is worse.
Thanks.
Well, there you go, everybody. Happy Halloween. Until next time, Chris.
Yeah, until next time, Jeff, if I can sleep. Thanks. Thanks a lot.